Good evening and welcome to the monthly meeting of the Arlington County Board of Zoning Appeals, which is also known as the BZA. I am Charles Smith, I'm chairman of the board, and this board is made up of 5 citizens. However, only 3 are required for a quorum, appointed by the Circuit Court. In addition to myself, we have Judy Freshman and Peter Owen. I am hopeful that Paul Melnick and Inta Malice will join us. Also present is the professional staff, including Stephen Rissy, to my far left, coordinator of the Board of Zoning Appeals, Cliff Hogan, who is sitting down front, and Michelle Cabero, the administrative technician, sitting to my far right. Michelle Rogers. Thank you. That's right. I'm looking at an older script. Thank you. I apologize, Michelle. Administrative technician, we thank you for being here, and we extend a warm welcome. To avoid disruptions, we ask that you please turn your cell phones off or put them in a silent mode. On the front table, you'll find a copy of the staff report for your case for this evening. I recommend that if you haven't taken a look at it, that you take a look at it right now. The board's powers are prescribed by the Code of Virginia and are set out in further detail in the county zoning ordinance, which is adopted by the county board. The Board of Zoning Appeals does not have the power to rezone property or to amend the regulations set forth in the ordinance. That authority rests with the county board. This board does have the authority to do 3 things. 1, we can approve use permits that allow modifications of placement requirements for structures on 1- and 2-family lots where there is no option in the zoning ordinance to allow such modifications. 2, we can grant variances from the specific requirements of the zoning ordinance. And 3, we can decide appeals of decisions of the zoning administrator. When approving use permits, the Board of Zoning Appeals may impose conditions that it deems necessary in the public interest, including limiting the duration of the use permit. In order to approve a use permit, the law requires that the board find that the proposal meet conditions and that the use permit will not adversely affect the health or safety of persons residing in the neighborhood, will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to property or improvements in the neighborhood, and will not be in conflict with the purposes of the master plans and land use and zoning and related policies of the county. To do this, the Board of Zoning Appeals shall consider whether the modification will promote compatibility of development with the surrounding neighborhood because the structure's overall footprint, size, and placement are similar to the structures on properties surrounding the lot in question, and whether the modification will preserve natural landform historical features and or significant trees and foliage. When granting variances, the burden of proof is on the applicant to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that it meets the following criteria: that the strict application of the terms of the ordinance would unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property, or granting a variance would alleviate a hardship due to a physical condition relating to the property or improvements thereon, and the property for which the variance is being requested was acquired in good faith and any hardship was not created by the applicant, that the variance granted will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and nearby properties in the proximity of the geographic area, and that the condition or situation of the property concerned is not of so general or recurring nature as to make reasonably practicable the adoption of an amendment to the ordinance, and that granting the variance will not result in a use that is not otherwise permitted on the property or change the zoning classification of the property, and that the relief or remedy obtained through the variance is not available through a special exception process as provided for under the zoning and or subdivision ordinance. When deciding appeals of the zoning administrator, the board must use its judgment to determine if the administrator was correct. Now, this evening, cases will be called and a brief staff report and recommendation will be given. Following that, the board members may ask any questions of the staff that they might have. And next, applicants or their representatives will be given an opportunity to make comments to support the application or appeal. If they choose to make a comment, they must come forward to the podium so their comments can be recorded for the record. Next, all speakers for the item will be called. Speakers must fill out a speaker slip which is available on the corner up here next to the administrative technician. And after we hear from the speakers for and against the appeal, the board may permit the applicant a brief opportunity to clarify any points. The board may ask questions of speakers, but does not permit and will not condone any cross-examination or direct questioning by others. We have deemed the following time limits for speakers to be sufficient: 20 minutes for appellants in appeals cases, and 5 minutes for applicants for use permits and variances. In all cases, speakers representing organizations shall have 3 minutes and individuals 2 minutes. After the board has gathered all the information that we need and discussed the case, we will decide the matter by voting on a motion duly made and seconded. A majority is needed to approve any motion. Any appeal from a decision of this board must be made to the circuit court in accordance with state law. After your case of interest is heard, you're welcome to stay for the balance of this session or leave at your convenience. Again, thank you for being here this evening. Mr. Melnick is joining us, and we'd ask the secretary to call the first case.
Case number V-11367-18-UP-1 is a use permit request by Chris and Lisa Barnett. Owners permit a setback of 9.7 feet to the wall instead of 10 feet as required from the rear lot line on a corner lot regarding a newly built addition on a corner lot in the R6 zoning district premise known as 5635 20th Street North. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Owen.
Is that? Oh, now it's on. Got it. Yes. So we deferred this because there was lack of clarity about who was making the application and whether or not they had authorization from the owners.
Correct.
And it appears now that the owners have signed the application. Is that right?
The application is now in the owner's name, and they are now the applicants.
All right. Thank you.
Any further questions of staff? If not, Lisa and or Chris Barnett, or their representative.
My name is Andy Moore. I'm the contractor. Lisa and Chris are here to speak. If you have any questions, we filled out speaker slips for both myself and for them, just as a formality. If you have any questions, the owners are here, the contractor's here. We think the application speaks for itself, but if you have any questions, we're available.
Thank you. Any questions of the Mr. Moore? No. Mr. Owen?
I'm ready to make a motion.
I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11341-17-UP1, subject to the conditions listed.
You gave the case number, did you say 367?
No, I said something different because the recommended language says something different than the case name. So let me try that again. I ask unanimous consent to rescind my motion and replace it with the following motion. I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11367-18-UP-1, subject to the conditions listed.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. That's been moved by Mr. Owen and seconded by Ms. Freshman. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of granting the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and the matter is granted. Thank you. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11373-18-UP-1 is a use permit request by David and Aaron Covington, owners, to permit a setback of 7.6 feet to a new cornice instead of 8.8 feet as required based off the aggregate setback requirements from the right side property line regarding the second-story additions with new first-story cornice in the R8 zoning district premise known as 1308 North Illinois Street. Staff recommends the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Arisi. Any questions of staff? Hearing none. David and/or Aaron Covington, are they present? Welcome. Anything to add? Okay, if you have any questions, I'll have you come up. Applicant is here and has nothing to add. Mr. Owen?
I have a question for the applicant, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the podium.
Welcome, Ms. Covington.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if you've discussed this proposed project with your neighbors to the rear.
So we have attempted to, but we do not have phone numbers or email addresses for those neighbors, and so we've knocked on doors, but it's not been a time when they've been home. So we haven't had the chance to discuss it with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions of the applicant? If not, Ms. Freshman?
I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11373-18-UP1, subject to the conditions listed.
Thank you, Ms. Freshman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Ms. Freshman and seconded by Mr. Melnick to grant the proposed use permit. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Chairman?
Mr. Owen.
I have a question for staff. In not just this application, but other items in our packet this month, the tables that list the comparable improvements in the nearby neighborhood do not indicate the legal authority by which those improvements were constructed, which has been more typical in the past. And I'm wondering, is that a purposeful change in pattern, or just trying different things out, or accident, or?
I would say it's not necessarily a purposeful departure from a standard that we use before. It's just the way I typically do it. Most of the time, the plats that I refer to will exist between 1950 and the present day. And so unless I have a plat that says that it was there before 1950, I won't mention it. And of course, if I don't have a BZA approval for it, then I won't mention that either.
I think it's helpful information sometimes to know whether or not a pattern that exists is mostly a pattern that was because of BZA actions versus, ancient construction or some other reason. And occasionally there's apparently unpermitted conditions, and that's helpful to know as well. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of granting the proposed, granting the motion, granting the proposed subject use permit in V11373, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and the matter is granted. Thank you. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11374-18-UP-2 is a use permit request by Khalil and Fern Andros, owners, from a setback of 6 feet to the wall of the garage, 5.7 feet to the garage eave from rear property line instead of 10 feet, 6 feet to the eaves as required, and to permit a setback of 2 feet to the wall of the garage, 1.7 feet to the garage eaves from the right property line instead of 10 feet, 6 feet to the eaves as required, and to permit separation of 5 feet from the wall of the garage to the wall of the main building instead of 15 feet as required, and to permit a separation of 3 feet between the garage eave and the main building eave instead of 11 feet as required, regarding a new 2-story detached garage in the R6 zoning district, premise known as 642 North Florida Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions of staff? Hearing none, I presume the applicant, Khalil and/or Fern Andreos, are here. Welcome.
Mr. Smith, I am not Khalil, but Khalil and Fern are under contract to purchase this property, and I'm the contractor and current owner of the property. And I attended our...
James McMullen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just when you're through, would you complete a speaker slip and submit it?
Will do.
Thank you. Listed as the agent. Okay. Maybe you can help, though there is an explanation of how we got here, how we've you've come before us again. Maybe if you want to recap that.
Yes. So the setbacks and the dimensions of the detached garage have not changed, but what has changed is the realization that the second story of that garage has sidewalls which are approximately 4 to 5 feet tall, which are higher than permitted. I believe it's 2.5 feet that's permitted to be a 1.5 story detached garage. And when that was determined during our permitting process, we're back here with the same plans and the same dimensions and the same setbacks. However, with the clarification that this is a 2-story structure, albeit the roof height and the other dimensions are lower than many 1.5 story structures. It just happens to be that we made the garage very narrow, and in order for the geometry to work, to get any space underneath, we had to have sidewalls that are taller than 1.5 or 2 feet.
Okay. And let's see here. Statement of support from the adjacent neighbor and the neighbor behind, but but with the initial application last year, there were a number of other neighbors. Maybe you can answer this question for me. Do you know if those neighbors had been approached again?
Yes, we approached a number of neighbors who didn't feel it, because the dimensions didn't change, didn't seem particularly interested or excited to respond.
But you did?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant's agent? If not, Ms. Freshman?
I move the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11374-18-UP1, subject to the conditions listed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think Mr. Owen nipped you, Mr. Melnick. I beg your pardon?
I'll have to let Mr. Melnick take it.
Okay, but Mr. Owen cedes his actual first place finish, and he'll relinquish it to you, Mr. Melnick. So it's been moved by Ms. Freshman and seconded by Mr. Melnick that we grant the subject use permit. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Matters granted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11375-18-UP-1 is a use permit request by Emily White, the owner, to permit a setback of 20.7 feet to the wall, 19.5 feet to the eave of a left side addition from the South Randolph Street right-of-way instead of 25 feet to the wall, 21 feet to the eave as required, regarding a 2-story left side addition, new front porch, a left side porch and rear porch additions in the R6 district, premise known as 1408 South Randolph Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions of staff? Ms. Freshman.
Have we had any neighborhood feedback since the report?
Yes, the applicant actually has it with them this evening, and they can pass it out now.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. No more questions. Let's hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative. Ms. White? Anything to add? Thank you for these.
Thank you. I apologize that I didn't get my
my neighbors' information, their support in with the application. As you can see, I'm on my third week of rehab after back and hip injury after a 14-hour flight from Seoul the end of April. And additionally, I do have support of two other neighbors who I wasn't able to track them down due to inability to walk. So this is my first outing of walking and actually driving. So anyway, I appreciate your consideration. So are there any questions about the proposal?
So,
In which case my architect would answer the details.
Mr. Owen?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So you've just submitted neighborhood petition support from neighbors at 1405, 1414, and 1415 South Randolph Street, and you just mentioned that there were two other neighbors that you've spoken to?
Yes, that I had spoken to in March, and I had actually walked them on the property. 1414 is important because they are the neighbors on one side of me that the addition would be built out. I do have the support of my other neighbor, Ms. Beauchamp, at 1404, and Gary and Nancy Palesi at 1401. The house at 1409 is rental, but I'm sure the guys would support me if I ask. They've been gone for a while, so.
And did you communicate at all with your rear abutting neighbors at 1503 or 1505?
I have no rear neighbors. As you can see, there's nothing behind me to almost George Mason Drive. Arlington County owns the property behind me.
On the plat I see, well, actually even in this photo, it looks like there's two houses whose property line is diagonal, ending in a corner where your property is carved out.
On South Stafford?
Yes.
I have not communicated with them.
Okay.
Have no, there's no traffic or interaction.
Is that a fence between 1505 Stafford and your property there? Is that what we're seeing in this photo, where they have a little shed?
There's an existing fence.
And so all of your improvement would be on the other side of that fence, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
We're not building back that far. I don't have that much money. Just out to the side.
Thank you.
Any further questions of the applicant?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Any, well, matters with the board. Ms. Freshman?
I move the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11375-18-UP1, subject to the conditions listed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Melnick. It's been moved by Ms. Freshman and seconded by Mr. Melnick to grant the subject use permit. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and the matter is granted. Thank you. And thank you for coming out. Wish you a speedy recovery. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11376-18-UP-1 is a use permit request by Saad Beckerine, owner, to permit a setback of 1.5 feet to the rear wall of a two-story garage, 1 foot to the eave, instead of 25 feet to the wall, 21 feet to the eave as required, and a setback of 1.7 feet to the wall, 1 foot to the eave from the left side property line instead of 10 feet to the wall, 6 feet to the eave as required, and a setback of 8.2 feet from the wall of the dwelling instead of 15 feet as required, regarding a new rear detached two-story garage in the R5 zoning district on the premise known as 2701 12th Street South. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions. I'd please ask you to note that there is supplemental material for this case that came in after the application packet was assembled and printed. It is some additional photos of the existing garage that is in process of being built. and some clearer plans for you.
Thank you. The signatures that are attached, those are additional, or those new? I mean, are they, these new, or were they
I think there's a new one.
submitted before?
The last one is new.
Let's see here. Okay, yeah, George Antonius looks like he's a new addition. Okay, thank you. Any questions, any further questions of staff?
Yes,
Mr. Owen?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. On the plat that we, not the plat, but on the tax map, there's a parcel, an unlabeled parcel between 2706 and 2614 11th Street South that's directly behind this property. What's the ownership of that parcel?
It is owned by the owners of 2614 11th Street South.
All right, so common ownership, just a different lot.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions of staff? Hearing none. Saad bin Kirani? Welcome. Anything to add?
Not really, just to give you kind of, hi, how are you all doing? Just want to give you a little clarification. Really, the main change is not as bad as it sounds. When we had plans approved and we built it to plan, and after we had everything, the garage framed and built, and the stairs were delivered, we put in the stairs and we realized that there was not enough clearance due to an error that was made by the architect. It was more of a calculation error. So really at this point, we don't have any other options. We try to, and this is pretty much the only option we have at this point. And that's...
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Melnick?
So what you're saying is the stairs are higher than you thought they were. When you put them in, is that the issue, that the dimensions of the stair were different than you thought?
No, it's actually, there was not enough clear. The stairs are built to plan, but it's the roof, or there's not enough clearance as you go up the stairs.
Okay.
The overhead clearance.
All right. Thank you.
Any other question?
Mr. Owen?
Can you tell us about your outreach to your neighbor at 2709 12th Street and your rear neighbor at 2614 11th Street?
Sorry, 2709 12th Street?
Your neighbor to your left.
Yep. That's, it's a rental property. I believe there are 4 different people who live there. I tried to reach out to the guy, pretty much lived there longer. And about a couple of weeks ago...
What's the name of the person who you've... I'm sorry, you said that you reached out to the tenant who's lived there the longest.
The tenant, yeah. But I believe I was told that he just moved out about 2 weeks ago. So, and prior to that, I tried to reach out to the owner, but never heard back from him. I've never met him.
How did you try to reach out to the owner?
Not in regard this matter here, but when I applied for the building permit, and I never heard back from him. I live literally across the street from the house. I live on 26 12th Street, and I've never met that owner. Lived there for over 6 years now.
How did you try to reach out to him on that prior occasion? By phone, by mail?
Certified mail. I think it was, they attempted to deliver it a few times and never signed for it and was returned.
And what about your neighbor to the rear?
To the rear, I reached out to, if you saw that last signature, that's from George and Anna.
At 2706, which is the one corner abutting, right? Is that right?
Yes. If you're, from my street, from 12th Street, there's 2 properties. So the left one, that's Anna Gutierrez and George. Reached out to them and they signed for before they signed the petition. That was the last one that I added. I tried to reach them before then, and I was not able.
All right, so did I miss a signature from 2614 11th Street?
2706. That's the new one that was added just today.
Where's,
The one that has the outline, 2614.
so see directly behind, on this photo, can you see the photo that's on the screen? Yes, this photo.
Oh, okay.
So right behind the current shed is a big green rectangle, and to the right of it is a greenish colored house with a white truck in front.
Oh, that's Amy and Derek. That's 2614 11th Street.
Yes.
That's also a rental property. We reached out to Carla Pfeiffer, which is the tenant, but she's deployed, and we exchanged text messages. She said that she got the letter from the county and she forwarded it to the owners.
Okay.
I believe they live in Connecticut,
Uh-huh.
and so we never heard back from them.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
I'd love to hear your motion, Mr. Melnick.
Okay, so in case V1137618UP1, I'd move that the Arlington County Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit in this case with the conditions as stated.
Oh, thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Melnick and seconded by Ms. Freshman to adopt the proposed resolution granting the use permit. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it and the matter is granted. Thank you very much. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11377-18-UP-2 is a use permit request by Gene Elm, the owner, to permit a setback of 24.9 feet to the wall of the house from the 9th Street North right-of-way instead of 25 feet is required, and to permit a setback of 19.6 feet to the wall of the addition and porch, 17.6 feet to the eaves from the North Burlington Street right-of-way instead of 25 feet, 21 feet to the eaves and porch as required, and to permit a setback of 15.6 feet to the porch, 14.4 feet to the porch eaves from the 9th Street North right-of-way instead of 21 feet to the porch, 19.5 feet to the porch eaves as required, and to permit a setback of 20 feet to the front porch from the North Burlington Street right-of-way instead of 21 feet as required, regarding a rear addition to an existing non-conforming dwelling and rebuilt the front porch in the R27 zoning district, premise known as 4810 9th Street North. Staff recommends the board adopt the attached resolution granting the use permit with conditions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Freshman.
Just confirming that this is identical to the approval of March 17?
Correct. It's another one of those cases where they weren't able to get the
They didn't pull a permit in time.
permit within 1 year.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Owen.
is staff aware of any changed conditions on the site or in the neighborhood since the previous approval?
No.
I seem to remember with this application that we were specifically admonished that this has nothing to do with the house built to the south of the main house. And I didn't get a chance to visit the site. Is that house that the dotted line is running through the middle of here, is that structure still there?
To my knowledge, it is still there.
And we're still not drawing our attention to that, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Gene Elm, the applicant. Anything to add? Can you, is there a question that maybe, okay. Thank you very much. There are no questions. Matters with the board.
Mr. Chairman? This, as Ms. Freshman pointed out, this is the identical application to what was previously approved. It's, in my opinion, the law of the case. There's no change conditions. There's no reason not to reapprove it. So I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving use permit V-11377-18-UP-2, subject to the conditions listed.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freshman. It's been moved by Mr. Owen and seconded by Ms. Freshman to adopt the attached resolution granting the use permit in this case. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the matter is granted. Thank you. Good luck. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11378-18-UP-1 is a use permit request by Amarjit Dhillon and Andir Kaur, owners, to permit a setback of 15 feet to the wall, 14 feet to the eave of an addition from the Army-Navy Drive right-of-way instead of 25 feet to the wall, 21 feet to the eave as required, regarding a two-story addition in the R10 zoning district, premise known as 2001 Army-Navy Drive. Staff recommends the board adopt the proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of Mr. Rissy? Hearing none. Amarajit Dhillon and Ajinder Kaur. Anything to add? Okay. Any questions of the applicant? Hearing none, this matters with the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Owen.
I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11378-18-UP-1, subject to the conditions listed.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Owen and seconded by Ms. Freshman to adopt the attached resolution, proposed resolution granting the use permit with conditions. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, the matter is granted. Thank you. Please call the next case.
Case number V-11379-18-UP1 is a use permit request by Rupa Bakaracha, the owner, to permit a setback of 4.8 feet to the wall, 4.8 feet to the eaves of a one-story addition instead of 8 feet to the wall, 5 feet to the eaves as required, and to permit an aggregate setback of 17.8 feet instead of 18 feet as required, regarding a new one-story left-side addition in the R6 zoning district, premise known as 237 North Galveston Street. Staff recommends the board adopt the attached proposed resolution granting the use permit request with conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions of staff? Hearing none. Rupa Bhattacharya. Was that closer?
It had to be
Welcome.
closer than mine.
Anything to add?
Good evening. It's Bhattacharya, but you were very close.
Good.
Yes, I appreciate the board's consideration. The purpose of the addition is to create a suite for my mother, who's moving to Arlington after my father passed last year. So I very much appreciate the consideration of the board on the permit request. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Owen.
you're across the street neighbor at 238 Galveston Street.
Yes.
Their house is sort of centered on where your addition would be, and I'm wondering, can you tell us about any outreach that you've done to that neighbor?
I haven't been able to contact them. I don't believe that she's a full-time resident of the house. But there is an existing screen porch structure where the addition is going to be, and so it won't change the front of the house picture very much. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been able to reach her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions of the applicant?
Thank you.
If not, the matter's with the board. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Freshman.
I move the Board of Zoning Appeals adopt the attached proposed resolution approving the use permit V-11379-18-UP1, subject to the conditions listed.
Thank you, Ms. Freshman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Melnick.
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Owen.
I think that this addition appears to be a nice, very compatible with the neighborhood, in terms of its merits. There's a sort of a monster house-ish kind of structure across the street and down two houses, and I'm glad that the owner of this property is not taking that route to improvements. I'm a little, I have a little bit of concern about not hearing back from the neighbor across the street, because they really are the most affected neighbor, and so that's too bad. But I think that given the modestness of the addition, I'm going to vote for it anyway. But I really wish that we had heard more from the across-the-street neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Any further discussion? If not, the motion was made by Ms. Freshman and seconded by Mr. Melnick to adopt the attached resolution. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The matter is granted. Thank you. Please call the last case.
Case number V-11380-18-VA-1 is a variance request by Sean M. McEldowney and Lucille M. McEldowney, owners, to permit a maximum main building footprint with a front porch of 3,556 square feet instead of 2,772 square feet as permitted, regarding a new front porch, front addition, rear porch, and second story addition in the R6 zoning district on the premise known as 2630 South Ives Street. Staff recommends that the board adopt the attached resolution denying the variance request. An alternative resolution has been provided should the board decide to grant the variance, but I'd ask you to please note that there is supplemental material for this case that came in after the application packet was assembled and printed, including an email from the applicant requesting a deferral of the case, as well as some more clear drawings for you.
Thank you, Mr. Rissy. Any questions of staff?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Owen?
Is there an applicant or any other people who've asked to testify on this item?
I was going to ask just that. The applicant is here. Welcome.
And before we hear from the applicant, I do have some questions for staff.
Please go ahead, Mr. Owen.
In staff's opinion, and I know that there's a request for deferral, but I'd like to ask these questions anyway. In staff's opinion, what is the public policy purpose of having the final two rows on the maximum coverage and cap table in section 3.2.5A of the zoning ordinance?
So I can't exactly speak as to why the board put it in there, but I can try and give some history to it. The current coverage table was put into the zoning ordinance in 2005, and at that time, when it was first proposed, it was kind of in the format that it's in now. However, there was much discussion, as you may imagine, before it was adopted, and there was a concern that these footprint caps would limit the size of larger structures on oversized lots. That was a concern that was raised, and in response to that concern, staff actually created a different option for the board to adopt, a different table that kind of did away with the caps that are there and based it more on the size of the lot as opposed to the zoning district. But the board decided not to adopt that alternative table and decided to go with the one that did limit the size of structures even on the oversized lots. So I can't tell you exactly why. And I also have a copy of the staff report from November of 2005 if you're interested in reading all that fun.
Of course I'm interested. Thank you. I can't read it right now, but
Because you can include it in July.
yeah. That's a very helpful answer. I have additional questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's very helpful. I'd like to see that report.
Yes. My next question is, I note that the lot in this application has 20,573 square feet. Do you have any approximate idea of how many other lots in Arlington zoned R6 have more than 20,000 square feet?
Yes. I reached out to GIS. I don't happen to know these offhand. But they informed me that there are a total of 182 R6 zone properties that are larger than 20,000 square feet. 119 of those are residential lots, so the remainder being other. Yeah, more than...
Including one we heard tonight. There's another one over 20,000. Approximately how many are more than 8,400 square feet? And I didn't choose that number at random. That's the point at which the percentage caps are no longer the limiting factor.
There are a total of 4,226 R6 zone properties that are larger than 8,400 square feet. 4,122 of those are residentially used properties.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think I will ask any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owen, and thank you, Mr. Rissy, for that research. Does the applicant want to add anything this evening? We've got the request for the deferral.
So we have asked for a deferral, and still would like a deferral to, I think we asked for July if that's available on the board. There's some additional information that we'd like to put together in light of some interesting questions, as well as our neighbors have been out of the country and we haven't been able to get information from them, and we're going to do that as well. And also reevaluate the plans, frankly, in light of some of the questions that the board had and our review of some other information.
Thank you very much. Mr. Owen?
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Are we okay? Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Owen, I'd be happy to entertain the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Zoning Appeals defer this item to the July 2018 meeting so that the applicant can reach out to neighbors, redesign the parcel, and consider additional justifications for the application.
Second.
Very much. Thank you. It's been moved by Mr. Owen and seconded by Ms. Freshman to defer this matter to the July meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to defer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The matter is deferred. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. And
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Freshman,
I'd like to move approval of the April 25, 2018 minutes.
thank you very much. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Melnick. Are there any discussion, any modifications? Hearing none, all in favor of adoption of the April minutes signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are adopted.
Is that record?
Adjournment for the fastest BZA meeting in 6 years.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Freshman, for moving, and Mr. Owen for seconding the motion.
Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. Before we formally adjourn, I just wanted to ask a question. So we have our next meeting is bifurcated. We have a 6 o'clock part of it that will be open to the public and publicly noticed, but that's a work session. And then we have the regular meeting at 7, right?
Correct.
And the purpose of that for now is to discuss two items that relate to a court case and a code change. Is that right?
I
State code change?
think it's really just the state code changes that will be discussed at that workshop.
We had previously discussed the possibility of having BZA bylaws and/or procedure manual, and I was wondering if, I'm not expecting, but I was wondering if staff has put any further thought towards those items.
This staff has not.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to confirm. Okay, I have put some further thought into it, and I would love to have a general discussion, not a lengthy discussion, but a general discussion on that topic at our work session agenda, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I might?
Might move things along.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. We can add that to the, I presume there'll be time after the legislative update. I'd be happy, that'd be fine.
And I'll reach out to at least to the staff and the chair about what I have in mind. And my hope is to share information with everyone to the extent permitted by law.
Good.
You're not doing anything illegal.
I'd love to discuss it because I was curious. I had no notion of such a thing, and I'd like to find out more about it.
We have a pending motion to adjourn.
We do. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, and we are adjourned at 7:49.